family work-life balance,
Yeah.
because yes, I could do it myself, but I'd be up till 9 p.m. writing, thank you cards and happy birthday cards if I did it all myself,
Right.
and so I had a very specific way that I wanted to take my clients through the client experience, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it myself. And so yes, it's an expense, but it's an expense that pays off in so many other ways.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by A Advanced Services, Fuse Networks, and Warrior Injury Law. My name's Galen.
Joe.
Coming at you from the underbelly of the Creative Block Studios in Seattle, Washington. So, Joe, before we get started, can you tell everyone how our podcast came to be?
Sure. So it first started out as a Facebook group page. The purpose was to bring businesses together into the platform to talk and communicate and kind of help each other out through business. Because we're a marketing agency, we get asked a lot of questions outside of just marketing. So we thought, what a better way than to bring on different guests onto the podcast to talk about topics all relevant to being in business.
Awesome. So, Joe, can you do the honor of introducing our in-studio guest today, please?
Sweet. So I'm super excited today. We have Breona Enbom. She's a real estate agent out of Kitsap County. So if you could, Bree, real quickly introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us what it is that you do and how it is you got started.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate that. Yes, so my name is Breona Enbom. I work at Infinity Real Estate. My tagline is sold by Bree, so that's a little separate than just Infinity Real Estate. But I have been in real estate now, oh my gosh, I think it's been over 10 years. I didn't start out as a realtor, though. I started out in the back end helping another agent run her business and grow her business. And so I learned a lot in those first couple of years, and then went out and got licensed to do the same thing. Kicking and screaming, honestly, because I was terrified of sales and I was worried that wasn't, the right fit for me. But first couple clients, I was hooked, and now I'm addicted to it. My previous life, I was a financial advisor, so I feel like it's been a really fun and great segue going from that to jumping into real estate with my clients.
So let me just ask you a quick question from your intro. You didn't start out being a realtor, kind of did the behind the scenes. What was the moment or lesson learned that finally pushed you over the edge and said, I'm going to do this myself, I could do it? What was that moment where you decided you wanted to become a realtor then?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, it was my boss.
Okay. There you go.
Like I said, I was kicking and screaming. She was like, nope, you're getting licensed. You're doing this. You're awesome. You can handle it. We're going to, run this team. And so I just really liked being in the background. I really liked managing the office and managing the team. But when we got to a point where it just made sense for me to get licensed, and then, like I said, first couple transactions, I was hooked and off I went. And her and I still work together to this day, actually.
Awesome.
We've kind of pivoted our roles together because
Right.
she's more on the retirement track now. But it's just been really great. And so what I've learned from that is it's not sales. She's taught me from the very beginning that is all about helping people come up with the solutions and path to home ownership. And that is such a different conversation than the sales side of it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's get to know you more a little bit. We'll ask a couple questions. Joe, first question, please.
What are some early lessons learned as an entrepreneur?
Early lessons. Man, I feel like one of the things that I learned because of managing other agents, I learned really early on that time blocking was a huge thing in business. I mean, any entrepreneur or small business owner, and setting up proper boundaries and expectations for our clients is huge, because otherwise they will run us and we'll work 24 hours a day. So that was a huge lesson from the very beginning. That I feel like has resonated even to this day.
Yeah.
Next question is, in your entrepreneurial life, what's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Something that stands out to me is, especially because even though us as realtors still run our businesses as like our own small business. So for me, I'm the boss, I'm the CEO. I need to make sure that the buck stops with me and I'm falling on the sword for me, my team, my clients, whatever it is. And that was a huge, that was something I didn't learn at a younger age until I had a couple great mentors that taught me that pretty early on. So from the very beginning, it is the hardest thing to make those hard phone calls or, have to fall on the sword for something that may not have been exactly specifically your fault or anything that happened. It's just you're going to take accountability and you're going to make sure it gets fixed and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And this last question, I know Joe's favorite.
Why is marketing important?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. Marketing is super important. I feel like marketing is important specifically for me because I'm marketing myself every day. I don't get to market a product. I don't get to market something very specific. I'm marketing myself. I'm marketing my services. I'm marketing my my process, my team. And so for me, I need to stay relevant, and whether it's social media, whether it's on Google, whether it's on YouTube, I feel like if somebody's going to Google my name, that it needs to have relevant information from a very recent time frame, as opposed to, oh, you haven't made a post for a year. And to me, that's just as much marketing as anything else, maybe.
Right. Which we'll get into a little bit more.
Yeah.
We can't wait to talk about that. Now we come to the part of our podcast, our Advanced Services Pump You Up Quote of the Day. So Bree, do you have a favorite motivational quote you like to share and why it resonates with you?
Yeah, so you guys might laugh at this because it's a quote from a movie, but it is just stuck with me through all these years. And it's from Transformers, of all movies, funny enough. And it's that moment where, now I'm forgetting the his name, but Shyla is asking her to hey, in 50 years, don't you want to say you had the guts to get in the car? And I feel like that resonates so well over and over and over again because fear can trap us in so many ways, business, personal life, whatever it is. And this was probably one of the biggest jumps fear-wise for me, and really having to jump out and just have faith and trust, and even doing things like this, it's out of comfort zone. And so I don't want to live a boring life, and I don't want to regret my life later that I didn't do those things that I should have jumped to do just out of fear. So I want to be that person that's like, yes, I got in that car.
So just like in the movie, you're grabbing the spark and then
yes,
you're going with it, right?
I was jumping in that car. Especially Camaro. I mean, come on.
When did so you started out as a single agent. At what point in your career did you say, you know what, I need to build a team and have a team help me, I guess, grow and take us to the next level? Like, how many years in was that?
It was only about a year, honestly, because I came from a team, and I came from being my agent's right hand as a transaction coordinator and her executive assistant. I knew that I would not be able to service my clients at a high enough level that I wanted without having that support.
So you saw it early, structure was important with the pieces you build around you then.
Yes. And family work-life balance, because yes, I could do it myself, but I'd be up till 9 p.m. writing, thank you cards and happy birthday cards if I did it all myself, And so I had a very specific way that I wanted to take my clients through the client experience, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it myself. And so yes, it's an expense, but it's an expense that pays off in so many other ways.
Right.
So like as a business. If a new realtor is watching this, what's the steps in building out your own team?
I would say starting with a good executive assistant or TC is the start. That is bottom line. And I would say after you start doing 2 deals a month, you need to be doing that because you have to have time to follow up with your database. And our job is to be out in front of clients and meeting with clients, going on appointments, writing contracts, and then everything else should really be done in the back end with our team.
And how many transactions do you do a year right now?
I'm averaging about 40 a year, but I have big goals this year. Even the market likes to mess with us every year, so we'll see how that happens. But yeah, I have big goals this year that are over 40, but I average about 40 a year in Kitsap.
Consistently, how many years in a row?
So I've been licensed since 2019, so that's pretty consistent since I started getting licensed. But I didn't start as a brand new agent. I started out with a mentor and a team, so it was a little different situation than just starting from ground zero.
Someone who's like stay-at-home mom or dad, and like, I want to earn some extra income, so let's get involved in real estate and sell to our friends and family too.
That is really hard, and that is one thing that I've always stressed. Yes, it's a great thing to do part-time if you want to do 1 or 2 deals a year. If you want to do anything more than that, you have to treat this as a full-time job. Like I said, time blocking is key, and we have to spend time prospecting, we have to spend time marketing, we have to spend time with our clients. There is no way to do all of that and then do the volume that I want to do without doing it full-time. So, but it's doable.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's also hard, in my opinion. If you're doing it part-time, you're not in the market every day, you're not hearing the new laws and the new regulations, and you're not maybe necessarily understanding what's going on in the specific market in this week, because that's the market we've been in pretty much since COVID. It's been so volatile week after week, month after month, that what was happening in March this year is not what's happening now.
So to be full-time and have your pulse on the situation, because everything could change with the volatility of everything.
It's almost like you're doing a disservice if you're only selling a couple homes a year.
That's how I feel about it, yeah.
So let's get to our next segment, our Fuse Network's Did You Know segment.
Millions of cyber criminals are out there on a daily basis trying to steal your information. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Small businesses account for 58% of cyber attacks annually. So help your company fight cybercrime and mitigate risk by being proactive. Call Fuse Networks, your local Seattle IT experts at 206-701-6040 for a complimentary IT network and security assessment.
So this is going to be a unique Did You Know. So did you know that on Google, optimizing a Google business profile for a realtor can be a game changer? So I don't think everyone's utilizing this. That's why we wanted to.
So the reason why I wanted to have Bree on is because of the subject. So all of the changes that Google is doing with your Google business profile, and I heard something in a networking group we belong to that I was like, why didn't I think of that? Right. So you're always learning.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about today kind of a little bit more in depth on a Google business profile, and because Bree does a fantastic job in optimizing her profile, I was like, why not just bring on a business owner that already does it to educate other business owners how they can do a better job.
So you want to just set the framework of specifically like the post feature on like updates, events is
everything.
Right. But that's a big part of how you've been successful. So go ahead and take it away on how you've optimized your Google business page, and like when you have listings or events, how you're utilizing your Google business page to kind of get that out to people.
Yeah, well, and I will say, like, I am not the brains behind it by any means, but in this industry, we do have a lot of support from third party or even our title and escrow reps, and personally, my coach that helps us stay on track with these things. Before I had a coach, title and escrow companies were really great at helping us make sure we were doing what we need to do on Google. Of course, I managed the Google for the previous team, so I already knew the framework, but because Google changes year over year, I'm also learning. I hear little tidbits here and there. I'm like, oh my gosh, an unlock. There's a couple big marketing gurus out there in the world that I've sat in on a couple different conferences that have gone very specifically as exactly how you need your name written in there, exactly how you need your location in there, how your reviews rank you, and what you need to have in your reviews, and those keywords and how important that is. But then it came down to just specific management of it, making sure, this is kind of my framework anyways, I try and post at least 5 photos a week to stay top of mind and stay relevant. I try and do at least 1 update or post a week. Again, whether it's something with a specific listing or whether it's just something that's happening in the market
Right.
or
So
a
for
closing.
for your update, for someone who's looking at this right now and they're like, I have no idea what she's even talking about, explain to them what an update is to the profile.
Yeah, so one of the updates I probably do the most is if I'm going to put a new listing on social media, I'm putting that same exact post and photo onto Google. Or if I'm doing an open house on the weekend, I'm putting that same post that I put on social media and I'm copying and pasting and putting it onto Google.
As an event then on Google, right?
As an event and an update, because it benefits both ways. And then in the link below, the Learn More button, that is where I'm tagging my website for that specific listing to then direct traffic back to my website.
Is there a third spot you can also add your listings to?
So I also add all of my listings under products, and that was a suggestion from one of those companies, third-party companies that I've worked with in the past. And so all of even my buyer and seller guide is considered a product on my Google page.
Right.
So I try and provide as much resources as I can on top of showing those sales, because there's no other way to, as a realtor, to show your sales on Google.
Correct.
We have a very easy way to do it on Zillow, and that is just all lined out. But on Google, that was the best way we found to do it, was under products.
And what if, when you started making these different types of updates to your profile, did you see an immediate effect? Did the effect take over time? Like, what have you seen since making updates like this?
I would say some of it was more immediate, but most of it was like for the long game. Over the last year, I did a huge revamp last year, and I would say it took a little bit in the beginning, but then just, I don't know what happened overnight. It just, the uptick on Google Maps, people viewing my profile, and then the actual lead capture I'm getting on my website increased as well. So I wouldn't say every single one of those turns into a client, but it's still.
But for you, it's all about opportunity. You just want to
Absolutely.
get the chance to introduce yourself, have a conversation. Maybe I could help you, maybe I can't. Use my guide. If you just moved into the area, use this. If I'm the right realtor for you, hire me. But you're getting that opportunity, and that's important to you.
Right. And I'm wanting them to find me through those keywords or through Q&As is another big one I do, because with AI now, I'm trying to capture that audience by answering as many questions and answers that hopefully then I pop up on some of those other platforms.
Real quick, so for people that want to see your page as an example, what do they type in on Google to find you then? How do you have your name? You mentioned there's a proper way to get your name listed. How do you have your name listed, and how do people search you online, on Google specifically?
Yeah, so I have my first and last name, which is key, so Breona Enbom, and then I have Infinity Real Estate. So having real estate in the title is big for me as a realtor. And then my company name. A lot of realtors or just small business owners will then also put their location in their name as well. The reason why I don't do that is because my office is in a different location than where I do most of my business.
Okay.
Kitsap versus Gig Harbor, even though we're right next to each other.
It's on the peninsula, but people are weird like that.
Yes, it's like that weird anomaly where we live. So, but that's a huge suggestion for most people. That way, when they say, local realtor in Gig Harbor, Washington, you're popping
They
up
won't
more.
call you if you're not an 858, right? People are real specific on I know the prefix on those
Yes,
phones.
if they see
you're not
those
Gig Harbor. Yeah.
local numbers, absolutely. And I got a really good report the other day from the third-party company that I am, ranked 3 to 5 in Gig Harbor finally after all this, time and effort. So it does pay off. It works. It's just staying consistent with it, like everything else in the world. Just staying consistent and on top of it.
You mentioned reviews. How do you reply to reviews?
So if I can't, I try to train my clients with some of those keywords that I would love for them to add into the reviews. If we don't get those, then I try and make sure that I'm putting those into the reply, like Kitsap, like buyer's agent, specific first-time home buyer or VA buyer, things like that, that are specific to my area and business.
So real quick, so you've done a lot of different things. What is your favorite form of marketing that you do? and what has been the most successful form of marketing? I don't know if those two answers are the same, but if you could answer those.
I would say the one thing that I've always really loved doing, and this is kind of a different type of marketing, I love spoiling my clients and my past clients. So I spend a lot of time, every quarter, I pick a local company that I can highlight, and I send that specific product or gift to my VIP clients. So now I'm promoting their business, but then also trying to stay top of mind,
right,
and giving them a little something for being a VIP client type of thing.
So you continually thank them.
Yes.
Versus most realtors will usually send like a thank you gift, but you do this every quarter, you said,
Every
right?
quarter, yep.
Okay.
And just database in general marketing, like there's a lot of that continues to go on in the background between home anniversary cards and birthday cards. And I feel like that's really my special sauce because I'm local, and I can physically go to their houses and things like that. Digitally, you would think social media would be my next choice, but honestly, I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I only do it because I'm a realtor. If I was not a realtor, I don't know if I would be on it other than, a couple times a week type of thing. But it is the easiest way to stay top of mind with my clients and with my sphere, friends, family, all the things. And so, and then segueing into all the things, going live on Facebook every week has probably been a new favorite form of marketing, because then we're able to just be very relaxed and candid and chat about the market, chat about our, being moms in real estate, and
it's casual.
Yeah,
but you're
it's just
connecting
been
with your
really
audience.
fun. Yes.
Like if someone does a search for you and that comes up through social media, and they're a mom and they love their kids, and then it's just a way for you to connect with them.
Yeah, and I mean, Kitsap's not a big place, and everyone's one person away from knowing everyone. So then all of a sudden you walk into a restaurant and they're like, I watch you on all the things. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That's what I wanted, but also, oh my gosh.
Right.
So that's been a really cool, and we're 2.5 years into that now. So that's been a slow burn as well, but it's
a machine that's churning leads now.
Yes.
Slowly.
Yeah. Which
So
is
for
really
someone who
cool.
doesn't know what you're talking about, what exactly, it's a podcast, correct? Or like a social media live?
Yes, social media live / podcast, but we call it All the Things with Ash and Bree. Life, motherhood, business.
Okay. And then who's your co-host?
Ashley Cameron
And what
with
does she
Future
do?
First Mortgage.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's a good partnership.
Yep, lender, realtor, chatting about that, and we're also really good friends. So there's a lot of, just that very casual, oh my gosh, our kids did this weekend, you wouldn't believe it, on top of we're trying to write an offer or send a pre-approval letter all at the same time, So it's been really fun being able to kind of have that banter back and forth.
So how do you determine what the topic is going to be for your live stream podcast, or when you go live? Is it you just, all right, today we're going to talk about this, or is there some pre-planning to it, or you got to just shoot from the hip? How do you guys just determine your topics?
That's a super good question, because we've been all over the place. We've done it all the different ways. We've planned, we've had scripts, we've taped them behind the camera and, gone down our list to totally winging it.
Right.
And we've found over the time winging it is the best form, which sounds funny, but we always have an idea of the general topic we want to talk about, but trying to have something scripted was not us, and it just came across terrible.
Well, I think when you wing it, though, it's the raw you, and it's the raw her.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people connect with the most.
Yeah, and of course we do use ChatGPT AI because now it has learned us over the time, so it's also helping us come up with kind of an outline for episodes, and some of it's ridiculous and we don't use it, and some of it we're like, oh, that's an interesting thing we should talk about. Let's talk about that, and so it's been kind of fun to integrate some of that into it now.
What has been your most viewed episode then? What was the topic, if you remember?
Oh man, that's a good question. There was one where we did a rapid fire question back and forth to each other, and I'd say that was probably one of our
Like you
higher
didn't know what
views.
question she was going to ask you?
Correct. Yeah, and we just rapid fire back and forth with each other about business, about relevant topics to real estate. and then just, how we got into it and things. But that was probably because it was very high tempo and
right. People
very
could feed
fun.
off the energy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like improv a little bit, right? So
right. Or if we have a guest on, I would say that usually pulls in more views as well, which is always,
Since we like the power of manifestation, if there's a local guest that you could have on your podcast, and we'll use this medium to reach out to them, who would be a dream guest to have on your podcast live stream?
Oh man.
We'll try to get it manifested, guys.
Right. Yes. Hey, we're all about that in this business for sure. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head.
Or specific industry.
Or a type of guest. Who would you want to speak to that you think would go well with your audience, or that you guys would be really excited to talk to?
We've had a property manager on, and that was probably one of our better guests because it just is so relevant to what we do and being able to answer all those unending questions that we have about renting versus buying.
Yeah.
So that was a very impactful episode. But going with that, we've been trying to get a financial advisor on next, and that's kind of our
And
next...
you came from that world too,
I know.
right?
That's why I'm like, wait, I'm the financial advisor. Just kidding. Not recently. So I think that's kind of our next person that we're trying to find to be a guest speaker as a financial advisor. But honestly, I think more of a dream person would be like one of the mayors of Bremerton or Paulsbo or something, because being in real estate, it's all about what's going on in our community, what's happening with the planning, what's going on with the urban development around what we're doing. And every time I sit in on these meetings, if I'm at Rotary or a chamber meeting or listening to anything that is happening with our ferry system, it's all so relevant to what we do here in Kitsap and with our clients in real estate, especially because we have so many people that come from across the water commuting, or they're coming from out of state. And so I just like being in the know and being able to provide such a high level resource and information for my clients. So
What about someone who's running for mayor?
that would be really cool too. That would be awesome.
Dan Weed in Polsbo, if you're listening.
Didn't he have a podcast? Was he a guest?
He was a guest on our podcast.
The Shrimp Tech podcast he had. So.
All right. Yep. Dan, let's do this.
All right. So I don't know when this episode will come out, probably in the summer sometime, but what's one prediction you have for the real estate market before the end of the year? Do you see any trends with, in general, maybe not just your area, but kind of like Washington State, that you see would be an impact on your business?
We always ebb and flow with the influx and outflux of military in Kitsap. And so, we know specific trends that, okay, we're coming into PCS season again, in fall. And so we'll expect that. We all, not that we know what rates are going to do, but we know if rates decide to do anything coming down wise, it's just going to be crazy. And so we all hope that that's the case, but we also don't know exactly, none of us know what's going to happen with that. So, but the predictions say that we have that potential to happen. So we all think that our quarter 3 and quarter 4 are going to be a lot busier than last year's quarter 3, quarter 4. Maybe not necessarily busier than our quarter 2. We actually had a pretty busy spring in our industry, but then everyone and their mom put their house on the market in May and flooded the market with the highest inventory we've seen in a really long time, because we're seeing a lot more move-up clients move around than we did the last 2 years. People were moving out of necessity the last 2 years versus this year. We're seeing a lot more locals moving around. We're seeing a lot more.
Can you talk about that a little more? What defines, for people that may not know the term, like a move-up client?
Oh, yeah.
What is a move-up versus move-down is the first thing that I would think of.
Yeah.
Define that, just.
Yeah, so from like a first-time home buyer, now they've outgrown that home, they have kids, they want to move up to their second home, their little bit bigger home, but they've been on pause because rates have been higher and that's a bigger expense. They probably purchased during a time when rates were lower and they're going to sit on that mortgage payment because, it's so much more affordable than trying to jump up to that next home, or downsizing, for the same reason. Now everyone's out of the house and they're
they don't
downsizing.
need that much house,
yeah, but if they have a small mortgage, and even
Yeah.
if their rate was the same as they are now, they're still going to pay a whole heck of a lot less than if they were to go downsize, depending on, cash and equity and all those fun things. All that's a factor. But we just saw a lot less of that going on over the last few years because of the rates.
Got another
being where they
question.
were.
I don't know if it's related, but are ADUs gaining popularity over in Kitsap?
ADUs?
Yes.
Yes. So in the city of Bremerton is really the only city at the moment that has the population size that allowed for that new law change to happen. And so you can have 2 ADUs per parcel or 2 duplexes per parcel. So that has been a huge game changer and an investment opportunity for a lot of builder investor types. I wouldn't say it's taken off yet because it's so new, but there's been a lot of movement and talk and more people looking for opportunities where they can do that, which has been interesting.
I want to go back to you because you work with a lot of, I guess, people selling their homes. So what are the top 5 things that you recommend people do to their homes that are selling?
There's so many more than
So like
5.
in our networking group, you gave us a thing that I think
the
had
top
10 on
10.
it, right? Top
Yeah.
10. So what are your like top 5?
I would say curb appeal, outside exterior curb appeal is probably one of the top 5, top 1.
So like
really,
landscaping, paint.
landscaping and mulch. It makes such a big impact when you're walking up to a property. Deferred maintenance is a huge one, but that's also one that we budget around, so if you can't afford deferred maintenance, we price accordingly. But that's another big one that usually gets missed with homeowners, and then they're spending all this money right before they're listing, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's a bummer. But and then if I have the opportunity to have somebody move out, empty the home, stage the home, professional photography, videography, that's another big selling point on our side. And so that's a suggestion that I mentioned to the sellers if they have that ability to do so.
Right.
So that's 3.
Let me change it up then. What are 2 tips you can give to people who are buying a new home? Like what are a couple things to look for?
I think that is really depends on the client, because if they're moving from out of area and they've never dealt with a septic system, that's a huge, I know that sounds so weird, but that is it's so
They just don't know that world.
and so relevant for me and in Kitsap. But if they've only lived in an urban environment, and I am working with a client right now that is just so terrified of this potential septic that he might have to deal with if he puts in an offer, I think that's one of those big things that people need to understand and know when they're walking up to a home.
So is a septic tank inspection required then when you purchase?
It is
has a septic?
in
Okay.
Kitsap. Yep. So that is one big thing that they should think about, in my opinion, when they're looking at a home. But then I would say another thing is the deferred maintenance, because you can, and that's why home inspections are so important, so that way you can do your due diligence. And we're in a market where buyers get the opportunity to do them again, and they can do their due diligence, and they can figure out what makes the most sense for them. They're buying a home eyes wide open, as opposed to a few years back when it was not the case.
Let me ask you a follow-up question on this, the curb appeal. You mentioned of the 5 things, 3 things that you listed that are definitely a seller should do. As a buyer, and if you're my realtor, with a property that doesn't look so nice, does that give you leverage to lower the offer or come in a little lower than what it's listed as then? Can you turn that around if you're representing the buyer in that situation?
Usually I can turn that around in the buyer's favor, because in my opinion, if you don't prep and present your home properly, it's going to sit on the market. And then if it's sitting on the market longer than 7 to 10 we're kind of averaging in Kitsap between 20 and 30 right now, days on market. But if you're sitting on the market, then there's 100% opportunity to get a better price or get seller concessions, is usually what we say as well. So, and sometimes that matters more, because I do work with a lot of first-time home buyers that don't have the cash for their closing costs. So we're able to get those paid by the seller and maybe get potential inspection items all at the same time.
But you wouldn't necessarily have the knowledge or know-how if you didn't have an experienced realtor, right? So.
And yeah, if you're not tracking the market on a consistent basis, because I'm not kidding, in April, I was with buyers and we were competing against multiple offers, and now all of a sudden I'm out with the same price point and we're asking for seller concessions because it's been on the market 20 plus days. So it's whiplash out there some days. So it does make a huge difference. But that's another thing where I learned from my mentor from a very early time that when we're going and looking at a home, it's not about, yes, it's about, do you like the home? Do you fit in the home? All of those things. But it's really, do you guys notice that this entire home has old windows? That's going to cost you a lot of money. Do you guys realize that this roof looks a little interesting? Like, that's something to think about. I'm not being an inspector in that moment, but I am pointing out the pros and the cons that I see in the property, because if they do decide to make an offer, these are things that are going to come up and factors that we're going to factor into our offer.
Right.
So.
And while we wrap it up, what areas do you serve?
So I serve all of Kitsap County, Gig Harbor, not all of Pierce, but I mean, that one's kind of a wonky one with where we live in the water. I kind of joke bridge to bridge to bridge. So, but I do go across the Hood Canal Bridge as well. So I do go over to Jefferson County. I do go out to Mason County. I have gone down to Thurston County. But I try and stay in about a 2-hour radius at most from my central location being Silverdale.
Okay. And how would, if someone in our audience is looking to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
I would say the best way to get in touch with me is finding me on Google, just typing in my name, and I should pop right up. That is my cell phone number, and you can get a hold of me directly, or going to my website and then contacting me through there as well, which is soldbybree.com.
Okay.
Awesome.
Last question. How do you balance, should have asked this earlier, but how do you balance life-work balance with the family? As a realtor, because a lot of times you'll get calls where people want to go look at a couple houses on a Saturday or even a Sunday, and you've got plans with your family.
That's a tough one, and it's something that I've struggled with from day one, and I'm still terrible at it because I truly do love my job and I love what I do. So for me, it's not always work, and it's a little bit of an adrenaline rush, and it's just I love, and architecture is a passion, so getting out and looking at homes is always really fun for me. But my coach is on me every week to set proper expectations and boundaries, and reminding me what my role is versus what my team's role is, so that way I am doing my best with that work-life balance. And so I don't know, time blocking and keeping to my schedule is the best way I can do it, but it's still hard because I do have clients that I'm like, okay,
are more high maintenance than others.
Do you have a showing agent or a buyer's agent on your team?
We're working towards that. I have somebody working to get their license to do that. So right now I've got a transaction coordinator, an executive assistant. I actually, technically, I do have a newer agent that joined my team, but she's not just a showing agent. She's going to be an everything agent. So she's learning, and then I'll have a showing agent as well. So, and then my previous mentor partner, even though she's not technically a part of Team Bree, she's still a part of everything that we do, because I'm helping her a lot with her stuff. So it's become quite a little team that I never thought I would have, but I love it.
It's part of the growth, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Last question, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who sells better, men or women?
Whew.
Right?
Rude. Sorry, I'm gonna be biased and say women, because our intuition is so strong. We can just read minds, and I see it on my client's face the minute they walk in a house that it's the one. And I don't know, are guys paying attention that closely?
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We'll end it right there. On behalf of our sponsors, A Advanced Services, Fuse Networks, and Warrior Injury Law.
Injured? Call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested.
My name's Galen.
And I'm Joe.
Bree, thank you for joining us at the underbelly of the Creative Block Studios in Seattle, Washington. Everyone, thanks for watching and tuning in this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast. Thanks, everyone.